In southeastern Massachusetts lies a stretch of land shrouded in fear and fascination, the Bridgewater Triangle. For decades, this 200-square-mile area has been the site of UFO sightings, phantom lights, ghostly apparitions, and strange creatures lurking in the swamps. People have vanished without explanation, while others report encounters with the impossible. Is the triangle cursed ground, or does it conceal secrets that defy human understanding? The legend of the Bridgewater Triangle begins in the heart of southeastern Massachusetts, an area spanning roughly 200 square miles. It stretches across towns like Abington, Freetown, and Rehoboth, encompassing dense forests, marshes, and the infamous Hockomock swamp. To most, it looks like nothing more than quiet New England wilderness. But for centuries, locals have whispered that the land hides a darker truth. The origins of its eerie reputation trace back to Native American history. The Wampanoag people regarded Hockomock Swamp as a place of spiritual power, a land where the boundary between the living and the spirit world was thin. They believed the swamp was home to powerful forces that could protect or destroy those who entered it. When colonial settlers arrived, conflict erupted, culminating in King Philip's War in the 1670s. Some historians claim the bloody battles and desecrated lands left a spiritual scar, giving rise to the triangle's haunted legacy. Reports of strange phenomena began to surface more regularly in the 20th century. Hunters, hikers, and locals told of shadowy figures in the woods, flickering lights over the swamp, and sounds that defied explanation. Law enforcement officers described pursuing suspects into the marsh, only for them to vanish without a trace. Pilots flying overhead reported strange lights pacing their aircraft, while motorists swore they encountered ghostly hitchhikers along lonely roads. What had begun as folklore was becoming something more, an ever-growing catalogue of unexplained events concentrated within the boundaries of the Triangle. Among the earliest modern reports from the Bridgewater Triangle were sightings of mysterious lights in the sky. As early as the 1960s, residents described glowing orbs hovering silently over fields, sometimes darting away at impossible speeds. In 1976, multiple witnesses reported a large triangular craft drifting over Route 24, its lights pulsing before vanishing into the night. These sightings continued into the decades that followed. Some claimed the lights were UFOs, evidence of extraterrestrial visitation. Others suggested they were military aircraft, part of secret experiments hidden in the secluded forests of Massachusetts. Yet no official explanation ever surfaced, and the stories grew only stranger. Animals within the triangle also became tied to the legend. Residents spoke of encountering large winged creatures resembling thunderbirds, with wingspans stretching more than 10 feet. Others reported giant snakes slithering through the swamp, or seeing spectral dogs with glowing red eyes that disappeared when approached. Skeptics dismissed these as exaggerations, but for locals the encounters were terrifyingly real. Law enforcement officers, normally resistant to folklore, added weight to the mystery. In 1978, a respected police officer reported a massive, unidentifiable object hovering silently over a local neighborhood. His testimony lent credibility to the belief that something unexplained lurked in the skies above the triangle. By the late 20th century, the Bridgewater Triangle was no longer just a curiosity. It had become one of the most active and well-documented paranormal hotspots in America. While the skies above the Bridgewater Triangle drew attention for UFOs, the land itself carried stories even more chilling. The Hockomock Swamp, covering thousands of acres, became the center of countless strange encounters. Hunters and hikers reported hearing drums and voices echoing in the distance, though no one else was present. Some claim to see ghostly figures moving through the mist, shapes that vanished the moment they were approached. For law enforcement, the swamp became a place of frustration and fear. Officers chasing fugitives or searching for missing persons often described losing their way in its tangled thickets. Dogs refused to enter certain areas, growling at something unseen. More disturbingly, the swamp was linked to multiple unsolved crimes, including mysterious drownings and abandoned vehicles discovered deep in the marsh, with no trace of their owners. Legends of cursed land resurfaced again and again. The Wampanoag had once considered the swamp sacred, but colonial expansion desecrated their burial sites. Locals believed this history had left the area cursed, fueling the paranormal activity. Whether through spiritual unrest or imagination, the swamp's reputation as a place where the living and the dead intersect only grew stronger. Adding to the unease were reports of cryptid sightings. From giant snakes to Bigfoot-like creatures, the swamp seemed to generate endless tales of impossible beings. Each story, whether believed or not, contributed to the Triangle's status as one of the most unsettling regions in America. By the late 20th century, the Bridgewater Triangle had gained notoriety for more than paranormal sightings. It also became associated with violent crimes and unexplained disappearances. Freetown State Forest, a vast stretch of wilderness within the Triangle, earned a particularly dark reputation. Stories of cult activity began to circulate in the 1970s and 1980s. Authorities discovered evidence of ritualistic animal sacrifices deep in the woods, burned remains, strange symbols carved into trees, and makeshift altars hidden among the rocks. While skeptics argued these were the work of pranksters, investigators linked some of the findings to actual criminal cases. Rumors of cult gatherings in the forest became an enduring part of the Triangle's lore. Freetown State Forest was also the site of grisly crimes. Bodies were discovered there under suspicious circumstances, leading many to believe that the forest itself attracted violence, or that it concealed something sinister. Law enforcement officers admitted that the area had an unsettling atmosphere, and some openly refused to patrol its more remote trails after dark. Disappearances added another layer of fear. Hikers and wanderers occasionally vanished without explanation, their belongings found abandoned while their fates remained unknown. Locals spoke of phantom hitchhikers on lonely roads and travelers who simply never returned. The overlap of real crime, mysterious vanishings, and paranormal reports blurred the line between folklore and reality. The Bridgewater Triangle was no longer just a place of legends. It had become a landscape where fear itself seemed to take root. Beyond crime and disappearances, the Bridgewater Triangle has long been a place of ghost stories and hauntings. Abandoned buildings, colonial cemeteries, and lonely stretches of road have all been tied to tales of restless spirits. Travelers speak of phantom hitchhikers, young women who appear suddenly on dark highways, only to vanish when offered a ride. Others describe seeing spectral figures along the edges of Freetown State Forest, their forms glowing faintly before dissolving into the trees. One of the most famous legends is that of the red-headed hitchhiker of Route 44. Drivers claim to see a man with fiery hair and a sinister grin thumbing for a ride. Those who stop report he disappears before entering the car, while others say he vanishes from the passenger seat mid-journey. The figure has become one of the Triangle's most enduring ghostly presences, terrifying motorists for decades. Cemeteries within the Triangle also carry chilling reputations. Visitors describe hearing footsteps behind them when no one is there, or finding headstones inexplicably toppled and rearranged. Paranormal investigators have recorded strange voices, orbs of light, and unexplained electromagnetic activity. Skeptics dismiss these tales as products of fear and imagination, yet the consistency of the stories across generations is hard to ignore. Whether they are restless spirits, psychological projections, or something else entirely, the hauntings contribute to the sense that the Triangle is a place where the veil between worlds is unusually thin. If ghosts haunted the roads and cemeteries of the Bridgewater Triangle, strange creatures seem to claim its swamps and forests. Reports of cryptid sightings became a hallmark of the region, blending folklore with modern mystery. One of the most persistent legends is of giant birds, often called thunderbirds, spotted soaring above the triangle. Witnesses describe wingspans exceeding 10 feet, their shadows stretching across fields. Farmers claimed livestock were disturbed by the creatures, while motorists reported massive silhouettes gliding silently overhead before vanishing into the clouds. Bigfoot-like beings have also been tied to the area. Hikers in Hockomock Swamp described towering hairy figures moving through the trees, accompanied by foul odors and unearthly cries. Some accounts recall glowing eyes peering from the darkness, watching intruders with uncanny intelligence. Skeptics argue these are misidentifications of bears or other wildlife, but believers insist the encounters were far beyond ordinary. Other tales speak of serpentine creatures in the waters, ghostly black dogs with glowing eyes, and even humanoid shapes that dissolve into mist when approached. Each story adds another layer to the Triangle's mythology, suggesting the land is a crossroads where the impossible becomes possible. Whether these beings are real animals, products of fear, or manifestations of something paranormal, they have become inseparable from the Bridgewater Triangle's reputation. For those who enter its boundaries, the wilderness itself feels alive, watching, waiting, and occasionally revealing its strangest inhabitants. As the Bridgewater Triangle gained national attention in the late 20th century, investigators and researchers began documenting the phenomena with renewed seriousness. Paranormal groups, UFO enthusiasts, and folklorists all descended on southeastern Massachusetts to gather testimonies, explore the swamp, and catalogue unexplained events. One of the earliest researchers to define the region was cryptozoologist Loren Coleman, who in the 1970s coined the term Bridgewater Triangle. His work brought together centuries of scattered folklore, presenting the area as a hotspot where hauntings, UFOs, and cryptid encounters overlapped. By framing it as a single geographic mystery, Coleman gave the legend cohesion and made it a magnet for paranormal research. Television crews soon followed. Documentaries highlighted eerie stories of phantom hitchhikers, cult activity in Freetown State Forest, and UFOs hovering over Route 24. Witnesses from different towns told remarkably similar accounts of lights in the sky or shadowy beings in the swamp, lending credibility to the idea that something strange was truly concentrated in the Triangle. Yet, skepticism persisted. Scientists argued that swamp gases, wildlife, and human imagination explained much of the lore. Psychologists noted that fear and suggestion could create shared experiences of the uncanny. Still, the sheer volume of reports collected across decades and from credible witnesses, including police officers, kept the mystery alive. By the turn of the 21st century, the Bridgewater Triangle had evolved into more than folklore. It had become a cultural phenomenon, symbolizing both the mysteries of New England and humanity's fascination with the unknown. Today, the Bridgewater Triangle endures as one of America's most unsettling mysteries. Stretching across Massachusetts, it is a place where folklore, history, and the paranormal intersect. To some, it is nothing more than a patch of forest and swamp inflated by imagination. To others, it is a hotspot of unexplained phenomena, proof that our world holds secrets science has yet to uncover. The area continues to attract investigators and thrill-seekers alike. Paranormal researchers set up cameras in Freetown State Forest, UFO enthusiasts scan the skies over Route 24, and ghost hunters roam cemeteries and abandoned buildings. Each expedition adds new stories, strange lights caught on film, eerie sounds echoing in the night, or sudden malfunctions of equipment in the swamp. For locals, the triangle is both a point of pride and unease. Some embrace its legends, hosting festivals and tours that celebrate the mystery. Others avoid certain areas after dark, wary of the strange reputation that has clung to the land for centuries. What makes the Bridgewater Triangle so enduring is not a single story, but the accumulation of countless tales, each witness convinced of what they saw, each mystery layered atop the last. UFOs, cryptids, hauntings, disappearances, all coexist in this patch of New England wilderness, defying neat explanations. Whether cursed ground, a paranormal nexus, or simply a mirror for human fears, the Bridgewater Triangle continues to whisper its secrets, daring the curious to enter and discover what waits in its shadows. The Bridgewater Triangle remains a place where legend and reality blur. UFOs, ghostly figures, strange creatures, and unexplained vanishings, all reported within its shadowed boundaries. Whether the result of curses, folklore, or forces beyond human understanding, the Triangle endures as one of America's eeriest mysteries. Step inside, and you may find more than you bargained for, or perhaps become part of its legend yourself.